I've been working since I was very young. I've always had my own money, my financial independence. And even though I wasn't required to help out at home, my mom liked the fact that I would from time to time pay a bill or things like that. So I could understand my responsibilities, my obligations, that my salary was also meant to pay my own bills. So, from a very young age, I learned that I was capable of paying my own bills and I would help out to get a sense of how much would be left over, things like that. When I was about 20 years old, I went to visit a friend who studied with me during my teenage years and had moved to another city. When I got there to her city, I loved the city. I saw many job opportunities, including at a restaurant next to the place where she worked. And she told me about it. The salary there was very similar to what I was earning in my city. But her city was different. It was more youthful. It was a college town. A lot of people went there and all that. So I felt more connected. There were attractive people, other job opportunities. And why not? When I got home, I talked to my mom and she was super supportive. She said, "Sweetheart, I think you are free. You are old enough to make your own choices. Go live this experience." I packed my little suitcase and said goodbye to the city. I went to live in my friend's city. When I arrived, I stayed with her for about 2 weeks until I found my own place, since I wanted to live alone. My mom said living with friends is good for sharing and understanding, but living alone is valuable if you can. There, the rent was pretty affordable because since it was a college town, there were lots of little apartments for rent. There were people who would go just to finish a semester or something like that. And since there were so many apartments and so many students, the price was really affordable, like the law of supply and demand. So I managed to find a little place for myself. And with my money, I could survive and I could even travel, go out to bars, buy little things for myself and feed myself. It wasn't luxurious, but I lived well, like things were stable. I had everything I needed. All right. Over time, living in this new city and working at the restaurant my friend got me a job at, I met a guy. We started talking, we really clicked, and I was drawn to how similar we were in the way he dressed, his taste in music, his lifestyle, and his philosophical outlook. It was something that fascinated me, and it didn't take long for us to start seeing each other and for me to be madly in love with him, right? I was like, wow, and he also seemed to really like me. He seemed really into me, things like that. After 2 months of seeing each other, we would talk about so many things with each other. We talked about everything. We shared a lot. I told him about my past, about the people I left in my hometown, and he told me about his life too, because he also spent his childhood somewhere else and all that. So yeah. But then on his social media, there was this girl who, like, I don't know why, but he posted a photo and this girl liked it. Her name appeared even though I don't follow her, and on her profile, I saw they follow each other. And then when I checked, I saw that she had photos posted in the city, in places in the city that I knew. I knew she had already been to that city and they followed each other. And he had liked all her photos, and there were also comments from him like heart emojis, calling her princess, beautiful, things like that. At that moment, I wondered who it was. I hoped she was a relative so it wouldn't interfere with my romance. I went to talk to him about it. We started talking, and he told me that she was just a girl, that they had known each other for a long time, and that they would hook up from time to time. But it was something like super random and sporadic, just every now and then. She would go visit her family there in the city where we lived in the college town, and she had graduated there. So every now and then she would go to her grandfather's house. Friends, some married friends, like, got married. She would go, about to graduate. She would go, her dad went there to visit the grandparents. It seems like the grandparents live in the city. She would go, things like that. I asked if I should worry about this girl, and he said, "No, don't worry." I pressed again, "Are you sure?" He said no, so I let it go. So, okay, but like, can you stop following her? And he like took a deep breath, really resisting the idea of unfollowing her. Wow, as if it was something really hard for him, I realized there were feelings involved. Because he was resistant, he was a bit thoughtful. He said, like, let me think, because my family is really fond of her. I said, "But what do you mean? Your family knows her?" "Yes, his sister really knows her. His mother knows her. It seems like, they know her parents too." Then I realized it was deeper than I thought, that this girl like maybe had the role of an ex, you know? When I talked to him, I asked if he and her were ever more than just friends since they were so close. And he hesitated, and ended up saying that he used to be really in love with her, but she didn't want him. Like, she never wanted to be with him, but everyone in the family cares about her a lot, and the fact that she didn't want to have a relationship with him. It was exactly because she also wanted to live her own life and enjoy her freedom. She moved to another state. She left the country a few times. So, besides everything, the girl, she was very beautiful. The girl was really gorgeous, very beautiful. She had a really nice body. She had already graduated, so she already had a degree. She spoke other languages, traveled. On her Instagram. You could see that she traveled a lot to other places, to other countries. And like, she had gotten a car from her dad, so she had a really good standard of living, you know, and like a girl who apparently seemed to be really nice, very pretty, and unattainable. You know, those people you think are from another world. And I couldn't believe that she even had ties in our city. That hurt me and brought out so many insecurities in me, because I didn't have half of what that girl had. Not intelligence, not beauty, and not money, you know? And she gave him attention because he also wasn't, like, his family wasn't rich. He didn't have the same vibe as her, you know? So his family was more from the countryside, and you could tell her family was from a really big city. So I ended up making comparisons that really hurt me a lot. It was really hard to get over that pain. I was really insecure about her, you know. But my boyfriend, he tried to calm me down in every way. He would say he was with me, that he was by my side, that I was beautiful. He would send me songs. He was romantic. He would buy flowers, buy things, try to show me that he was in love, with me despite her. He wanted to value me, you know? And the feeling I had was of always being the second choice. Over time, that started to heal inside me. He stopped following her on social media, so that showed me that, like, at least he doesn't follow her anymore. He unfollowed, so that's good, right? He introduced me to his family, and then when he introduced me to his family didn't accept me 100%. And that really hurt my heart, because I didn't understand why his mother didn't like me, you know? What I thought was, his mother is rooting for her, but at the same time, they never talked about her, never mentioned her, nothing at all. Sometimes it was just in my head, and gradually I created my own space there. With his family, our relationship started getting very serious. We started spending a lot of time together. Since he lived with his parents and I lived alone, he spent much more time at my place with me, right? And I also worked much more than he did, because his job was more with his father, with the people there, and so on. So he had more control over his own schedule, and I had to stick to mine. And then we started trying to find our place in the relationship, and things started to flow in a really nice way. And then over time, it had been about a year since we started dating, a completely serious relationship, a completely exclusive relationship where I have no doubts about anything, no complaints about him in terms of insecurity or cheating. He told everyone, showed everyone, really made it official, like to everyone. We made it official on social media, to family, to friends. We traveled together. We went on trips with his friends, with the friends I made there in the city too. And we started to build a bond, like full of love. He was always leaving all kinds of comments on my photos, saying sweet things and stuff like that. Everything was really good. After a year of our relationship, suddenly I'm at the restaurant, and honestly, my heart just froze. The moment I looked to the side, the person walking past the restaurant door was that girl. Right then, my heart just froze, you know, like, she's in town, she's here, it's her, I'm sure it was her. I think I used to go on Instagram so much that I knew who she was just from checking her stuff all the time, you know, on the feed, because on the stories, I used to watch them, because then, tipo, assisto pelo meu mesmo e é isso aí. At that moment, I went on Instagram to check if my boyfriend hadn't. At that moment, I went on Instagram to see if my boyfriend hadn't started following her again. I don't know, right? Men are kind of crazy. But I saw that no, everything was normal, everything was there, all good. I finished my work shift and I went like running to his house, because he said he was at his mom's. So I went to his mom's house. I got to his mom's house. His mom was preparing dinner and stuff, organizing everything. And then I stayed there, helped her with the food and everything. But I had planned to go to a get together with some of my girlfriends because sometimes we would gather just the women, either at my house or at one of their houses. So we could talk, watch a movie, have some girl time because pretty much all of us were in relationships. So we decided to do this once a month, like those social media trends, so we could have these get togethers. And we had been trying to make this happen for a long time, but it just wasn't working out. We always bumped into each other on the street with our guys, both rushing around. But it wasn't really a get together just for us girls, right? So we decided to have this get together. It worked out and it was super fun. We bought little things like to draw, to do paintings, to make caricatures of each other. That was going to be our vibe for the night, for us girls who are in relationships. So I had dinner really quickly at his mom's house. I kissed my boyfriend, said goodbye to his mom and his sister, and explained where I was going. They were like, oh, okay then, cool, go ahead. As I was leaving through the gate, his ex was simply coming in. She immediately came over and said, hi, how are you? She gave me 2 kisses, introduced herself, said, I'm so and so, and I was just like, hi, and I couldn't even respond to her. Right away, she just walked in and I looked back and his mom came over like, oh, it's so good to have you here. I missed you. You've grown so much. Guys, I remember I was walking and the echo of her voice was fading behind me. In that moment, my heart was broken and I thought to myself, oh my God, right then insecurity just came over me. My boyfriend is there. My boyfriend is going to see her. My boyfriend is going to be close to her. My boyfriend is going to miss her. It's going to unlock a bunch of memories. And at that moment, I didn't know if I should go to my friend's house or if I should go back. If I took him out of there just by taking my boyfriend out of there, maybe I would feel safer right away. I was so shaky, like I just froze. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed my phone and called him, and it rang, but he didn't answer. At that moment, guys, my eyes filled with tears. I started crying. I thought, that's it. She's there. He doesn't even answer me anymore, And then I called him and he answered, my love. And I said, like, is she there? Then he was silent for a few seconds. I could tell that, like, he left the room he was in. You could hear that, at least, my love. He spoke in whatever room they were in. He left and said, look, I wasn't the one who invited her in, but I'm not going to stay here. You don't need to worry. I'm going to your house to play video games because my console was at your place. I'll wait for you there, so feel free to hang out with your friends. I won't be staying here. I asked, do you promise? He replied, I promise, don't worry. And all right, true to his word, 10 minutes later, he was already at my house sending pictures, sending videos. I spent the whole night with my heart trembling, knowing she was at his mom's house in town. I can't believe my mother-in-law did this to me. She never really liked me. And the girl, beautiful, in person, polite, at that moment, I wanted to be polite to her too. Introduce myself, show confidence, but at that moment, I just couldn't. So there I was drawing with my friends. I was on Mars. My head was in the clouds, and then that was it. I ended up telling my friends about it. It became the topic of the night. I would video call him, and he was there the whole time, answering me, showing me that he was with me, that he was by my side, that everything was fine, so I wouldn't worry that everything was okay, right? All right. I went back home, spent those moments with him, then she left and went away. Wow, when she left, she stayed for like a weekend, arrived on Friday, left on Sunday, I was grateful because it felt like the city for me even seemed brighter. Like it took away the bad energy from the city. But what upset me the most about this whole situation was the mutual friends. Because the city is small, there are a lot of people, but it's still a small city, right? Because students come, study, sometimes stay for 1, 2, 3 semesters, then drop out and leave. So the ones who stay are always the same people. Also, the bars and restaurants are always the same, so you end up knowing everyone. And since I worked in a restaurant, everyone knew me because I was always there. I was always nice to everyone, tried to get some discounts from the manager, I was really good at my job. Modesty aside, I've always been a hard worker. I've always had a different approach to customer service, and I always was named best server. Yes, I was offered a promotion at the restaurant, but I turned it down because the work would double and the pay wasn't much better. Because of that, I was better off the way I was. I had more freedom to sometimes go out, talk to people, and the management position is more serious. I didn't want that role for myself, but in a way, when everyone got together, after she visited, everyone kept saying, wow, did you see she was in town? She was here this week. She's beautiful. And everyone would comment, wow, did you see what she did? She moved to such and such place. Oh, I talked to her about it. No, because we were planning to travel to such and such place. And like, My own group of friends was also really close to her. And I couldn't say anything, When I talked to my friends, they had nothing bad to say about her. They'd say, she's cool, don't worry, there's nothing going on between them. He doesn't like you. He's been here a year. She doesn't visit, doesn't like him, and is with someone else. And like the guys she hooked up with were amazing. How could she even look at my boyfriend, Like the guys she was with were on another level. Like, I don't know, TV stars, really hot guys. And my boyfriend, he's good looking, he's handsome, but he's not all that. She hooks up with some attractive guys, but she'd already been with them. It was just paranoia in my head. So, yeah, it was just paranoia in my head, right? That happened twice, her coming to the city. It was a whirlwind of emotions. The second time she came, she walked into the restaurant. I didn't want to serve her. I asked to switch places because the table she sat at was the one I was serving. So I asked to switch places. She was super nice. She even left a good tip for my friend. And like, even though my friend who was serving her already disliked her, out of respect for me, my friend said, girl, there's nothing bad I can say about her because the service went smoothly. She was very understanding in many ways. She wanted something not in the kitchen, but still left a generous tip. So the girl seemed flawless, which made me nervous, stressed, and angry. And I didn't know who I could talk to about it because I wanted someone who would support me in thinking that she wasn't all that, you know? No one supported my idea except a few friends who told me to relax and that I'm fine, but it's not even comparable. You can't compare yourself. Like they would say, girl, it's hard. There's no way to compete with her. Like she's an amazing girl. And that hurt me so much, so much. Anyway, after about 2.5 years in the relationship, it ended up being a relationship where little by little we started slipping into a desperate place. It started wearing us down. I was also very jealous, and he always, like, at his job, he had a lot of contact with other people, with other women, and there was always some girl flirting with him. Because modesty aside, my boyfriend was always kind of charming. There were always people wanting to talk to him. He was funny, and I couldn't just cut that off in him. But I tried to because I believed that his friendliness, his happiness, always smiling. It was a way of giving other women an opening. But then I realized that if it were the other way around, that would also be an abusive relationship. So I was becoming more and more abusive, jealous, chaotic, argumentative, possessive, harsh. I stopped enjoying things. I was very jealous of him, and that became unsustainable. And then, to make things worse, whenever I tried to talk to his mother about it, his mother would kind of say that was just the way he was, that she would say things like that. Sweetie, he's an excellent guy. If you can't appreciate that, maybe the relationship isn't working. So, that phrase, if you can't accept it, is it because maybe it's not working? I used to wonder if I had to accept everything, but whenever I went to talk to people, it seemed like I was always wrong. Do I have to accept everything? What is he doing? Is he cheating on you? No, but he's leaving the door open. But why is he leaving the door open? Because the woman is hitting on him, or is he flirting back? And then I would say, no, I think she was hitting on him. He wasn't flirting back, but it was all very turbulent. So because of all the doubts I kept feeding in my head in this relationship, I decided to put an end to it. And since we fought too much and he tried to stop being who he was just to please me, he became a quieter guy. And then his friends would say, I became in the group that girl. Oh, he's not going because she won't let him. Look, the guys would joke with him there at the restaurant right in front of me while I was working, because everyone would go there, joke around and say, look, you can't laugh. Your girlfriend is here. If you laugh, she's going to hit you. And even though he laughed with an awkward smile. And everything I'm telling you now, I only realized after we broke up, because at the time I would think, these people are so dramatic, they're exaggerating, I don't even do that to him. And I also started becoming bitter because of these jokes. Instead of taking it lightly, I would get serious. I would get irritated, I would argue, and then everyone started to kind of say like, oh wow, she's not the same anymore, she got annoying, what happened to her, right? Okay, people would ask my boyfriend, what did you do to make her like this? My friends would say, girl, that's not possible. Did he cheat on you? Did you catch him, or did you change completely with him too? So I just couldn't control myself anymore, and I completely lost myself in that relationship. Meanwhile, I kept checking his profile, who he followed, who he liked. I was terrified that girl would show up again. It was chaos, and that's when I decided to end the relationship. Actually, he tried to break up with me about 3 times and I didn't let him. I went after him. I cried. I begged him, please give me one more chance. He said, look, I can't. We're worn out. Our relationship is worn out. Let's break up for the sake of staying on good terms because we have a beautiful story. I've always loved you. I want to end this relationship still having a lot of affection for you. I'm grateful, but this is turning into anger and I'm growing resentful. If I get too angry, I won't be able to look at you. You know what I mean? So it was really hard, but then the last time it became unbearable. We actually ended things for real. Like it was a really bad breakup to really end it for good. And even so, I would still text him. I would take my friends' phones and send him texts. I used to call him from others' phones just to annoy him, asking, well, where are you? If I learned he was at another bar or talking to another girl. And it was like that. It was all very, very exhausting. And then we broke up. And after the breakup, I thought about going back to my hometown, Natal. I thought about going back to my hometown, Natal, to let him live his life and for me to live mine without carrying all this weight and worry. And then during that time, we ended up drifting apart. And he isolated himself. He really isolated himself. He became anxious. For 6 months, people didn't see him. I didn't see him in town. We didn't hear his name mentioned. Some people thought, some even said, there were rumors in town that he had moved to another city too. In my mind, I thought he went after her. But all of that was just nonsense in my head. And little by little, I started to see, people would tell me, I started realizing what I'm telling you now, that sometimes I also hurt him a lot, right? And I questioned myself. I felt guilty about all of this over and over and over again because I kept thinking to myself, was it because I argued with him that day because the woman was all smiley at him? And did I want him to treat the woman badly? Could it be that because I kept such close tabs on him, he became this person? All of this made me realize that I put him where everyone said I had put him, in sadness, in depression. The guys would say, man, he's really down. He's not doing well. Your relationship really hurt him. He was never the same again. He never smiled like he used to. He's totally closed off, even with us, his friends. He doesn't want to leave the house, and that broke my heart. I really wanted to go there and ask him for forgiveness, apologize to him, talk to him about this. But there was no way I could get close to him because I think I tried so many things that he pushed me away in every possible way. So I really decided to leave his life. Like pretend he didn't exist, be grateful for our story, but I would never go after him again. And during those 6 months, those were the things I heard about him, that he was isolated, that he was depressed, that the relationship really hurt him and all that. And time went by. 6, 7, 8 months. I think it was about 10 months after we broke up. That's when I started seeing him again. Back then, my heart would still beat really fast, but I would already turn my face away. I could control myself by then. I wasn't losing control anymore because I believe that when we don't have control over our mind has control over us. And I feel that before it had total control over my actions, over my behavior. And then after those 10 months, even though deep down my heart would still light up, I was already able to control myself and live my life. I even started seeing another guy. I showed him, I went out in the city with this guy a few times. He found out that I was seeing this person, but he never really texted me, never came after me, nothing, really nothing. It was pretty uneventful. And in our city at the São João Festival, it's a party. The city is a place where a lot of sertanejo singers come. Lots of people come to have fun and all that. And then there were going to be a lot of shows. I was with my friends. Okay, when suddenly I'm there at the show with my friends, drinking, relaxed, chilling. When I look back, who was behind me? It was my ex-boyfriend with his ex-girlfriend. They were having fun. The concert. And then at that moment, like that, my heart sank. Like that. I had to hold it in. I admit I didn't cry. But at that moment, my mind, it was like this. I knew. I always knew. They never really let each other go and stuff. And I got really angry about that whole situation. And then I really wanted to go there and talk, look him in the face and say everything that was happening, everything I was feeling. My friends didn't let me. I held myself back. Moment of the show when I was really pretty upset. And they were super happy in the back. And all the time, I kept glancing over, like this. They were dancing, they were fine, they were laughing. Then there was a moment when I saw the girl alone and I was really high. I went over, I approached her. I approached her and I started talking to her about, I said to her, "You've always been with him, right?" And she looked at me like this and said, "You're his ex-girlfriend, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes, that's me." She said, "Hi, nice to meet you," and so on. And I was like, how does she look at me and start laughing, you know? And like right then I looked at her face, really serious, and she was like, "Oh, it's okay, how are you?" And I stayed serious. She said, "Look, no, you two were never dating, not at any point." And she said, "I was also dating, okay? I was with someone else too. I was living my life. What do you think, that I was dating and cheating on my boyfriend with your boyfriend? Get a grip, girl." Like when she said that, I looked at her like this.
Oh, e aí eu fiquei olhando assim.
She was like, "Cool." It all happened very, very fast. That's the truth. Everything happened really quickly. I arrived, I questioned her, she answered me. I was left speechless. My friends came, they asked what I was doing, they apologized to her, said I was high. She said it was okay, that she didn't care about it, and that I should be fine. She said something like, "Oh, get better, be well." And my friends took me back to the table, and at that moment, he arrived and stayed there with her, and they stayed together, you know? And that's it. I was like messed up, really messed up in my head. Like she was dating and I wasn't. On her social media, she didn't post that she was in a serious relationship. Sometimes she's living a more private relationship. And I was thinking that she was, I don't know, wanting my boyfriend, you know? But overall, anyway, it's been a year and a half since we broke up. In the past year and a half, she comes into town almost every weekend. I'm still here. They're in a serious relationship. And you can see it. People say that they're doing well, that they're happy. They speak very highly of her. And that's my biggest pain. That's what hurts me the most. I'm really unsure if I should stay here or if I should leave, because I arrived here. This is their city, where they grew up, where their lives got intertwined, where they met each other, where they hooked up, you know, where they got involved and where they are now, right? Yeah. And I keep thinking, I'm the one who arrived, I'm the one who came, I'm the one who entered, I'm the one who invaded, but I did something different.
Errado? Eu sou a errada dessa história?
Or was I really right the whole time? The universe always tried to warn me that I needed to be careful with her. And this separation, it hurt me a lot, seriously, every time. Just imagining the two of them together, my heart breaks in half. And I get so sad about it. You know, it's a feeling I can't explain. I love that person so much. You know, I wanted it so much. So much, really, so much. For things to have worked out with him, it hurts so much to know that not only did we not work out, but things are working out between him and her. You know, with the person who made me feel the most insecure, the person who caused me the most trauma, who made me feel the most blocked, who helped awaken the worst version of myself. You know? So I think all of this is really unfair, but at the same time, I can't demand anything, and I feel like I live inside this confusion. I'm totally closed off to relationships. Every time I walk past them, we don't look at each other, we pretend we don't see each other. But I come back home, I lie down on my pillow, and I cry. I cry out of sadness. I cry because I'm hurt. I cry because I really wish I had what she has with him, you know, his love and affection. And sometimes I keep thinking that I had that love, but I also didn't know how to take care of it and appreciate it. But then I start feeling guilty, like I was the one who pushed him away. And the question I ask is, was it really? Am I really to blame? Was it really me who pushed him away? Did he really love me? And would he have stayed with me if I hadn't become that possessive and unhealthy version of myself? Did he really love me for real? And this confusion is something that doesn't let me make room for other relationships. I really need help. Maybe you can give me some advice, some help, an opinion, maybe to awaken this love that I should feel for myself deep down and go on with my life without feeling so bad. Because of this failed relationship, hi Wakettes, how are you all? This really is a very delicate story. I believe he did love you. I believe he did fully commit, yes. I believe he did try to give his best, yes. But I also believe that he never stopped loving the other woman, yes. Maybe the fact that she didn't want him, going through that rejection and becoming distant, made him see himself as a man who could live his own story and he tried to live that story with you. Maybe yes, maybe with your confidence, maybe with your determination, with your courage, with your joy, you could have managed to get around this situation until in fact it no longer existed, because maybe yes, a relationship with him would end up leaving her more and more distant, maybe. And he showed that he was loyal to you. In the comments and in the details that you bring to us, that's the feeling we get. But we can't ignore the fact that maybe, yes, she really affected him to the point that when she wanted to come back, they got back together and stayed together. So it's very delicate, but at the same time, I believe it's part of it. We are often not prepared to deal with all of our versions, and there are relationships and there are people who bring out versions of us that we don't know, and we don't know how to handle them. And it's a learning process. So much so that if you ever go through any situation like this again, of meeting a man and there still being a connection with an ex, you will have a different response to this relationship. You know, maybe you won't even allow yourself to get involved because you can see there's a connection there that might not be for you. Maybe you'll be able to get into this relationship. And with the guy showing you that there's nothing else going on, you might be able to show a completely different side of yourself from the one you showed him. And everything is a learning experience. I truly, truly believe that things happen in the order they need to happen, and that the best is yet to come for your heart, and that someone who is emotionally available will be there for you, as long as you are also available for him. Believe me, I really feel very sorry, but intuition doesn't fail. I believe that you felt it, that there was still something there, and that feeling of not being sure of it being a true love. It led you to chaos, feeling like maybe you were intruding on another relationship, feeling like you don't belong in that place, feeling like maybe you'll never be loved the way the other person is. It controls our emotions. And it makes us lose control. It's part of it. Don't blame yourself so much for that. You went through this process, but it was a process that will definitely make you stronger. As a woman and as a human being, I truly hope from the bottom of my heart that you heal from this relationship and that you find a real home, a heart ready to love you without having to worry about the ex, about the past. Having a mother involved too. Mothers liking the ex is just the worst. It's the worst. I've been through that, and it's the worst. And may you be loved by everyone. May you arrive in the family as one of them. And may you be welcomed and loved with all their hearts just as you deserve. Share a message of affection for her in the comments. Send me your stories if you've been with someone still connected to their ex and how it turned out.
No historiascanaldiadepaula@gmail.com.
Like, comment, and share. Kisses. And see you in the next video.